What's up, everyone? I'm Ben from YGO0, back with another SDYK format duel. And this is going to be a bit of a runback of a previous duel that I've shown on the channel, because I showed off the matchup of Tribute Aggro versus Worm Control or Reaction, depending on what you want to call it. And in that match, I was playing Tribute Aggro, and my opponent was playing Worm Reaction. And I sided into Wicked Worm Beast, so I feel like you might not have been able to get the full picture of exactly how the Tribute side of the deck matches up against the Worm Control deck. So today I'm going to be showing off a match that I played with myself playing Worm Control against sort of a Tribute Aggro sort of deck, or at least a more standard aggro sort of deck. So as a recap, the Worm Control deck or Worm Reaction deck, its goal is to get in for damage with the Wicked Worm Beast as much as it can, and use Ultimate Offering in conjunction with some decent defenders or just monsters that are able to clear your opponent's monsters to protect yourself while you do that. So let's just dive into the individual cards. So we've got 3 Wicked Worm Beasts. This is your premier attacker in the deck. Basically, you're playing this because it dodges all the removal like Dark Holes and Raigekis. So it's very good for that reason. We also have 3 Man-Eater Bug and 3 Wall of Illusion. These are great to set off of an Ultimate Offering during your opponent's battle phase. They can clear the way for your Wicked Worm Beast to attack in and also protect your life points as well. We also have 3 Lodge-In and 1 Battle-Ox. These are your beaters. So the Lodge-Ins are the premier beaters in the format with 1800 attack. But Battle-Ox and Neo the Magic Swordsman are a close second. So we're playing Battle-Ox over Neo, but realistically it doesn't really matter. But that's it for the monsters. For the spell cards, we have 3 Change of Hearts. Now, we're mainly using Change of Heart to clear the way for our Wicked Worm Beast to attack, and also to get some aggressive pressure put on our opponent. If our opponent has a Lodge-In, we summon out a Wicked Worm Beast, Change of Heart the Lodge-In. We're attacking in for 3,200 damage. That's almost half their life points if they don't have anything to stop it. So Change of Heart is incredibly, incredibly good, making offensive pushes. We also have our removal spells, 3 Dark Hole, 3 Raigeki. These are to clear your opponent's monsters out of the way to bring out a Wicked Worm Beast. Also, a nice little benefit of this deck when combined with Dark Hole is that you're likely not going to have many monsters on your field because Wicked Worm Beast will likely be in your hand. And so you'll oftentimes be able to use Dark Hole more profitably than other decks might. We also have 3 Monster Reborn to bring back Wicked Worm Beast if our opponent manages to destroy them, or just to bring back monsters to make a big offensive push. We also have 3 Pot of Greed just to draw deeper into our deck, draw Ultimate Offering if we haven't seen him, draw Wicked Worm Beast if we don't have that on hand, draw anything in our deck that can help. It's just an incredibly good card. We also have 3 Swords of Revealing Light, just to slow down our opponent in cases where we're not drawing the pieces we need and we need to protect ourselves. Moving on to the traps, we of course have 3 Ultimate Offering, the backbone of the deck. We have 3 Trap Hole to provide us with removal on our opponent's turn, clear the way for Wicked Worm Beast to attack in. And we have 3 Waboku to protect ourselves from our opponent's offensive threats. Moving on to the side deck, we have 2 Battle-Oxes. If we want to get a bit more aggressive and bring in some more beaters, then that's what these are here for. We also have 3 Card Destruction, 3 Dispel, 3 Remove Trap. These are largely for stall decks. Card Destruction is great against Exodia. Dispel and Remove Trap are great against Swords of Revealing Light and Ultimate Offering, the 2 premier stall tools in this format that aren't Waboku. And then we also have 3 Reinforcements if we're bringing in the Battle-Oxes in more aggressive matchups, and also a Fisher to clear away our opponent's monsters if we are facing a deck that's playing a lot of monsters. So that's the deck. I have explained it before on the channel, so be sure to check out any other videos featuring it if you thought that I sort of breezed through this explanation too quickly. But I've gone into it a bit more depth in the SDYK guide and also the Tribute Aggro versus Worm Control video. So feel free to check either of those out if you want to see it explored a bit more in depth. But now that I've gotten this out of the way, let's just jump straight into the duels and see how they go. Okay, we got another duel up against Duck Base Pill. We're on Worm Reaction. They're on some sort of aggro deck. I'm pretty sure it's Tribute Aggro. But let's watch the duel and find out. Okay, we've got a decent opening hand. Let's see what they do first. They're just setting a card and sending out Neo. That is not bad for them. Ooh, that's very much not bad for us. A Pot of Greed. And, oh, we're very happy with that. This deck really falters if it doesn't draw the pieces it needs to do what it wants to do. And even if you don't have the Wicked Worm Beast, if you have Ultimate Offering and some defensive options, this deck is just incredibly good, and it can bide its time with those pieces alone. So this is very good that we've drawn the Ultimate Offering and that we have two great defensive options to pair with it. We also have some offensive options in the form of Lodge In, which is very good. So we can attack into that Neo. If they have reinforcements, we'd lose our Lodge In, which would be pretty sad, but they would waste their reinforcements on this and thus not be able to get over our Wall of Illusion if we bring that out. So we figure attacking in is the right way to go, and it turns out they don't have reinforcements, which is pretty good. We will set 2 and pass to them. They're just going to fisher away our Lodge In, which happens, you know. But we don't really care since we have both Trap Hole and Ultimate Offering to play defensively. We're not going to fire the Trap Hole because, honestly, we don't need to. We can just flip Ultimate Offering if we want and bring out a monster. But honestly, we don't even need to do that. It's just 1700, and we've got a Lodge In our hand to deal with the Battle Ox. So we can actually wait to use the Ultimate Offering and our defensive options for a more opportune time. So that's what we're going to do. And a Monster Reborn is a very good draw off the top. It enables us to go more offensive if we want to, and if we ever draw Wicked Worm Beast and we lose it, then it enables us to get that back as well. So this is very good. We're just going to attack into the Battle Ox. 100 damage at a time, that's all we need. They're just going to set one and pass to us. We are, in case it is like a Man-Eater Bug or Wall of Illusion, we do not want it sticking around, so we're just going to Raigeki it before it can deal with our monsters, and then just attack in for 1800, and we'll set the Woboku and pass to them. Pot of Greed is very good for them. It enables them to draw outs to this Lodge In, and they did. They drew a Dark Hole. They're just going to try and attack in with the Battle Ox, but since we don't have a Lodge In to clear it on our next turn, we're just going to use the Ultimate Offering now, set a Man-Eater Bug, and that Man-Eater Bug will be able to pop the Battle Ox, which is pretty good. They're just going to set one pass to us. Unfortunately, we don't really have any offensive options unless we want to fire the Monster Reborn, so we're just going to pass back to them. We have a defensive option in Wall of Illusion plus Ultimate Offering, and we also have a Trap Hole set, so we're pretty fine on this board. We can wait until we draw something like a Wicked Worm Beast or another offensive tool. They will Monster Reborn out our Lodge In, which is incredibly good for us. We'll set a Wall of Illusion here, hoping that they attack in, and they do in fact attack in, and it has to return to our hand instead of theirs because we're the actual owner of the card. So that was a very good turn for us, and unfortunately they didn't have a Lodge In of their own to bring back, or else I'm sure they would have done that. But it's very good for us. We now have an offensive tool to use later, but instead of bringing out the Lodge In and just walking into a board clear like Raigeki or Dark Hole, we're just going to attack in with the Wall of Illusion. 1000 damage is not that bad. And if they want to attack into this to get rid of it, they'll still have to bounce the monster back to their hand, enabling us to attack in again. So this is not bad at all. They're going to summon out a Neo, and we're just going to trap hole it, honestly, because we're okay with this situation. Attacking in for 1,000 each time is very good. And the fact that they used a monster reborn means that they probably don't have many other monsters. So we could just keep attacking in with this Wall of Illusion, force them to use removal on it, and potentially bring out a Lodge in later. So we can just keep things going as they're going. We drew a Swords, which is a very nice stalling tactic for if we need it later on. But honestly, we don't really need it. Like, we're in a very good position. And they're just going to pass. This is just very, very good. We've gotten in a lot of damage with this Wall of Illusion. We've gotten back our Lodge in with it. We're in a very, very good spot. They are going to Change of Heart this, which is pretty bad for us. And they do reveal that they are on a Tribute Aggro strategy. So they will be able to clear our Wall of Illusion to summon out the Summoned Skull. They're going to attack in. We're just going to Woboku that, because we don't have a trap hole, but we do have 2 Wobokus. So, and we also have tons of removal for our turn, so we can get rid of it very easily. We'll just summon out a Lodge in and Raigeki away their Summoned Skull. The reason we don't go for Change of Heart is that given that they've used up no Wobokus, it's likely that at least one of these back row is a Woboku. So we don't want a Change of Heart and then run into a Woboku and then give them back their Summoned Skull at the end of the turn. So this is a bit safer, even though it doesn't threaten to kill them this turn. So we are just going to attack in, and they will take that damage. So maybe we should have gone for a more lethal push. Oh, but they do have a Woboku. Now we can see with the benefit of hindsight that they're just saving it for later. They'll Raigeki our Lodge in and pass back to us, and we just drew Pot of Greed, which is incredibly good. And since we have an additional Monster Reborn in hand, we might as well Monster Reborn back their Summoned Skull and just attack in. They do reveal the Woboku, but that's okay with us. We're feeling pretty good. If they, like, set a monster that could be Wall of Illusion to get back the Summoned Skull, they'll still have no way to tribute the Summoned Skull. So we're feeling pretty good about it. We can also Sword of Revealing Light to make sure whatever they set isn't a Wall of Illusion. So they just Dark Hole it, and then they'll bring back their own Summoned Skull. They're going to attack in with that Summoned Skull, and we are just going to Woboku it. 2,500 damage is a lot of damage to take, and more than we're likely to take on an average turn. So we figured that now is as good a time as any to fire it off. And they'll pass back to us. We will Change of Heart this because we can actually inflict a lethal amount of damage to them with just the Summoned Skull. So if they do have a Woboku, we can always just either Sword of Revealing Light or Dark Hole the Summoned Skull at the end of our turn. But it turns out they don't, and we do win game 1. So I hope that kind of showed that even without the Wicked Worm Beast in hand, the basic backbone of Ultimate Offering plus defensive monsters is still incredibly strong. It's just Wicked Worm Beast plus that just brings it to another level because it can give you an offensive tool that you can use every turn. Because you'll notice that we did kind of get unlucky with our monsters. We didn't really have many ways to get in for a lot of damage. We did most of the damage this game with a Wall of Illusion. So that's why we have the Wicked Worm Beasts in here, even though we didn't draw them. So let's see if we'll be able to draw them next game. I honestly don't think that I sided in anything against this deck because Worm Control really does a number on Tribute Aggro. Like, it's just rough for Tribute Aggro. There's just so many tools that Worm Control has to mess up their strategy. So I didn't side anything in. So let's see how this goes. We're going second this time. And we have the Ultimate Offering in hand, which is very nice, but unfortunately we don't have any defensive options. So that's somewhat rough. They're just going to set one pass to us. We will Sword of Revealing Light here, because based on what they played last game, we saw that they had Man-Eater bugs, and it didn't seem like they had anything else. It could be something like a Trap Master that they sided in to deal with our Ultimate Offerings. But in that case, we also want Flip Effect to trigger now, even though it won't destroy itself if that happens. So we are just going to use the Swords Revealing Light here to get rid of that monster. And then we'll attack in with a Battle Ox. We're not using the Lodge-in because they can't get over the Battle Ox by battle while Swords is up, and if they've got removal, they'll likely use it here. So, or they'll just summon out the Lodge-in as protection. We are going to Pot of Greed. We drew another sword, which is very nice. We'll set the Ultimate Offering and then just pass back to them. We could have Raigeki'd and then gotten in with Battle Ox for a bit more damage, but I figure there's no need to do that yet. Turn 2 on Swords. We'll set a Waboku, pass to them. Turn 3 on Swords, and it has expired. Now we will do the Raigeki and just get in for 17. They're going to Change of Heart our Battle Ox and tribute it off for a Summoned Skull. So that's one of the weaknesses of using a regular 4-star beater, is that it is susceptible to this combo. So that's pretty rough. We don't have a Trap Hole to deal with it. It's going to attack in. We will Ultimate Offering here and just set one, but unfortunately they won't attack it. They'll just Raigeki it, meaning that the Mania Bug will not get to destroy their Summoned Skull. But even though the Mania Bug didn't get to actually use its effect, it was still very useful to bring out because it blocked an attack. So we managed to take only 500 damage instead of 2,500 damage. So that's still very good. And it did use up one of their removal spells, so there's that too. Oh yeah, there it is. We have the Wicked Worm Beast. Let's go. Okay, we're going to Dark Hole that Summoned Skull away, bring out the Wicked Worm Beast, attack in for 1,400, and then just pass back to them. We're feeling pretty good. We have a Dark Hole in hand to deal with whatever they bring out. We have a Waboku in case they make a huge offensive push, and worst comes to worst, we also have Swords Revealing Light. So we're feeling very good about this. They'll bring out a Battle Ox. We'll just take the damage. We could have summoned Lodge-in here, but we're saving it because we can just Dark Hole them next turn and potentially go in for lethal by summoning both of these in one turn. So we draw. We'll summon out the Lodge-in. We're not going for the lethal line, although it would have actually won us the game if we had just pushed a bit harder. But we figure, why overextend? Actually, no, we definitely should have done this because maybe we don't use Dark Hole, but we definitely should have summoned Wicked Worm Beast because it's just 1,400 free damage. If they have a Trap Hole, they would have used it on Lodge-in, and the Wicked Worm Beast returns to our hand at the end of the turn. So we actually made a major misplay here. We should have just brought out the Wicked Worm Beast to attack for extra damage. But unfortunately, we did not. Hopefully that won't matter too much for the rest of the game, but let's see. They Fisher our Lodge-in, summon out a Neo. We will pay the 500 to set the Mania Bug, and they will just get rid of it using Change of Heart. And we'll Dark Hole away their Neo, summon out a Worm Beast, and attack in. Okay, if we had attacked in with the Worm Beast the previous turn, they'd be at 300 here, which would be pretty good. But unfortunately we didn't, and we can't change the past, so they'll bring out another Battle Ox, attack in for 17, and then set one and pass to us. We unfortunately don't draw removal, so we'll just drop our swords now, drop a Trap Hole, pass to them. Hope that we draw some removal later on. Wall of Illusion can function as pseudo removal if they attack into it, but they're just going to draw a ton with Pot of Greed and set another. We're just going to pass back to them. Swords is such a fun card. We are going to set one, pass. The goal here is to use our Wall of Illusion to bounce an attack. They will reborn their Summoned Skull, which is a bit unfortunate for us. We're just going to Waboku that. And we draw Pot of Greed, which is very good. We unfortunately still don't draw removal. We've used up 3 removal spells out of 6, so it might be a bit of a long shot to expect to draw removal right now, but we will just pass back to them. See what happens. They're going to attack in again. We are going to pay 5 and set the Wall of Illusion. And they do bounce back their Summon Skull to hand, which is pretty good for us. We will take 17 because we don't have another monster, but they will summon out the Summon Skull, just as we planned, so we can trap hole that Summon Skull away. And now we just need a Lodge in and we're set. We summon out Wicked Worm Beast that gets Ultimate Offering. We'll bring back the Worm Beast. And we could go for another Wicked Worm Beast here, but we're very low on life points, so we don't actually do it. And let's see. Okay, so they would have Wuboku'd here, but they would have had to use up the Wuboku this turn if we had attacked earlier with the Wicked Worm Beast. So it looks like this actually did matter quite a bit. They summon out a Lodge in. We will pay 500 to bring out a set. And they will just attack into it. They'll take 50, bounces back to hand due to Wall of Illusion, and they'll just bring back a Summoned Skull to sort of act as a defender of sorts, hoping that we won't be able to get over it. We will just Dark Hole here, hoping that we can get in with a Wicked Worm Beast, but unfortunately they do have a Trap Hole, so we will just Sword of Feeling Light, and they'll set 2. Now, honestly, I guess they still haven't used Wuboku, so we probably shouldn't have, yeah. I was going to say, honestly, we could use Ultimate Offering to bring out Wicked Worm Beast, but that wouldn't have been good, since they could have had Wuboku for us. We have drawn multiple Ultimate Offerings, which is a weakness that this deck can run into. Just, if you draw multiples of it, it's just kind of sad, because it's likely that your original one is going to stick on the field. Of course, Remove Trap is something that can be sided against this deck, but it doesn't look like Duck Paste Pill did that. So, for now, these are just dead cards in our hand. They'll set yet another monster, and we'll just pass back. We're hoping to draw some sort of board clear, but now we have to make a decision here. Do we try and do things, or do we just pass back to them? We're just going to pass back to them. We have a Wuboku. So, and they do bring out a Lodge in case we use Ultimate Offering to set a Wicked Worm Beast, which is pretty smart of them, but we do have the Wuboku, so that will be unnecessary. On our turn, we're just going to Monster Reborn, the Summoned Skull, and attack into a Neo, because even if they use reinforcements on the Neo, if they only have 1 reinforcements, then that's still going to deal 300 damage to them, so that would still kill them. Fortunately, they do have a Wuboku, so they do survive. And since they did survive, and since I have the read that their set monster is a Man-Eater Bug, because they didn't try and attack with that, I will Change of Heart the Man-Eater Bug, I will flip it up, and I will destroy their Lodge in. I'm then going to set 1 face down and pass back to them. They're going to tribute off the Man-Eater Bug for another Summoned Skull, which we will Trap Hole. They will Fissure our Summoned Skull and try and get in with Neo, and we will Wuboku that. We're in a pretty tough spot because, you know, we're getting very low for Ultimate Offering. We won't have many more times that we can actually use that. They'll bring out another Neo, and I will pay 5 to bring out the Wall of Illusion, and they do have the reinforcements. So we will actually lose this game. And I think actually it might not have made a difference actually, because they had multiple Wubokus. So they would have used up 1 additional Wuboku, but I think they would have actually still been alive at this point. So maybe that extra Worm Beast attack wouldn't have actually mattered. Actually, it would have been lethal that turn. So I guess it would have... Oh, I don't know. It's tough to say looking back at these sorts of things. All you can do is learn from the past and move forward. And so that's something to consider with this deck. While it is more of a controlling deck, it does have the potential to just win out of nowhere as well due to Ultimate Offering's offensive capabilities. So learn from my mistake and keep that in mind for the future. But anyways, we have both won 1 game in this match. So let's see how Game 3 goes. Okay, so we got Game 3 here. Again, I didn't really side in anything because I thought the matchup is pretty good as is. So we just have our standard deck, and we are going first here. This is a... Oh, okay, this hand is very good now. This hand has pretty much everything we want. It has an ultimate offering, some defensive options, a Wicked Wormbeast, and a mass removal spell, and an offensive beater to get over their beaters. So this is just an incredibly good hand. We'll just set the one ultimate offering, pass back to them. They're going to set a bunch, and it's back to us. Again, just like last time, my reasoning here is that the only monster that they're likely to set is a Man-Eater Bug, especially since if they had an offensive beater, they probably would have just summoned it and attacked in. So we will have Swords of Revealing like this, and we do manage to snipe a Man-Eater Bug. We will just bring out a Wicked Wormbeast, which will unfortunately be met with a Trap Hole, but nothing we can do about that. Just pass back to them. They won't do anything because Swords is up, and we'll just bring out a Lodgin to apply some offensive pressure. We'll set one, pass back to them. They won't do anything because Swords is up. And actually, they might not even have a monster. Oh, they have a Lodgin, but that doesn't really defend them against our Lodgin. And Summon Skull can't really do anything because they don't have a Change of Heart, probably. Yep, no Change of Heart. So, it's a bit unfortunate for them, but it's very fortunate for us. We'll just attack in with a Lodgin, pass back to them. They'll pass, and now Swords is gone. So they can actually do something now, potentially. We're going to bring out a Wormbeast that will be met with a Trap Hole, but we have a Monster Reborn now. So we can use that, bring back the Wormbeast, attack in for 3,200, which is very big, and then pass back to them. They could have used the Woboku there. It's debatable whether that was the play or not. I personally would have, but like, honestly, with Wicked Wormbeast able to come out every turn, those sorts of damage pushes are likely to happen in the future. So I respect saving the Woboku for the end of the game. Back to them, they have a Raigeki to clear a Lodgin, but they don't have anything to deal with Wicked Wormbeast for their next turn. We will just Trap Hole the Lodgin. They will Reborn back the Lodgin and go to battle. We will just set a Wall of Illusion, and they're just going to preemptively remove that. They know that whatever we set is likely going to clear that Lodgin out of the way, so there's no need to attack it. They pass back to us. We will bring out Wormbeast, and then we will Raigeki. So we'll attack in. They do have to Woboku this attack, and we'll just pass back. We have a pretty awesome hand. We have these two great defensive options, and they're just not even going to do anything about that. They're just going to pass back to us. And now, I could have read that that's a Man-Eater Bug and then just used Ultimate Offering to summon out everything in my hand to get in for a lethal amount of damage. But I don't think that's quite necessary. They could have sided into like Giant Soldier of Stone or some other sort of defender, which the Wormbeasts have a bit more trouble getting over. So it's better to save these defensive options in our hand, and also we do have an additional Wormbeast for later. So this isn't the worst thing in the world. It is a Man-Eater Bug, so we will just pass. And they pass back to us with nothing, so we do just have a clear shot at victory. And they reveal that they just had removal spells and a Summon Skull. So I think that kind of shows both the strengths of the Wicked Wormbeast control deck and the weaknesses of the Tribute Aggro deck. The Wicked Wormbeast deck is very good at just dodging your opponent's removal and being able to just attack in every turn with the Wicked Wormbeast, which is incredibly powerful over the course of the game. Even if it does draw multiple ultimate offerings, like it did in Game 2, and also you'll notice here in Game 3, we also drew multiple ultimate offerings. That doesn't usually slow down the strategy that much, because in general, they're not overcommitting to the board anyways. So I think the prime example of that was this game here, because we drew an additional ultimate offering, but because we maintained our resources and we didn't overcommit to the board, we always had things to do despite having one just dead card in our hand. So we were able to win that game anyways. And we were just able to get rid of any monster that our opponent drew. And honestly, in this format, like, monsters can be hard to come by because there's so much removal. And decks are fitting so many removal spells and just powerful spells and traps in general. So it can be difficult to come by a monster. There is one aggro strategy that's a bit of an exception to this, which I will show off in probably the next video. And that's a really cool strategy. But for now, I just hope that you enjoyed this video. As a note, I won't be able to put out any more videos for the next couple of days just because I'm going to be busy doing things in my personal life. So I won't be able to put out any videos for Friday and maybe not even Monday. I'll try to aim for getting one on Monday, but it's unknown at this point. But don't worry, after all that's done, your regular SDYK format duel content will resume. So that's going to be it for me for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, this has been Ben from YGO from Zero, signing off.